How did you make your mother realize she chose the wrong daughter? My mother adopted Haley when I was 28, called her a miracle blessing sent from heaven. I was happy for Mom. She'd been lonely since Dad died. Haley was 16 and would soon age out of foster care. Mom wanted to give her a chance. Noble cause. I supported it completely. Even helped with the adoption costs. $5,000 from my savings. The first month was great. Mom was glowing. Haley was polite, helpful, and grateful. Then things shifted. Mom started calling me with requests. Haley needs new school clothes. Can you take her shopping? Sure, Mom. I spent $800 that day. Haley picked out designer everything. Mom said she deserved it after her hard life. Next week, Haley needs a laptop for school. $2,000. Then a phone. Latest model. Another $1,000. Mom would call me crying. This poor child has never had anything nice. You had everything growing up. You can afford to help your sister. She's not my sister, Mom. She's your adopted daughter. How can you be so cold? She's family now. By month 3, I was Haley's personal ATM. Dance classes, $800 a month. Private tutoring, $600. Clothes, shoes, spending money. Mom never asked me if I could afford it. Just assumed I would pay. Meanwhile, Mom forgot my birthday. First time in 28 years. She was taking Haley to a spa weekend. Haley needed relaxation after her traumatic past. The spa weekend I paid for. I tried setting boundaries. Mom, I can't keep funding everything for Haley. You have your pension. She was offended. That barely covers our expenses. You make good money. Haley deserves the same opportunities you had. I worked through college, Mom. You made me get a job at 16. That was different. You were privileged. Haley needs nurturing. Christmas came. Mom invited me over. When I arrived, the tree was surrounded by gifts. All for Haley. Mom hadn't gotten me anything. Not even a card. I didn't want to make Haley feel bad by having you here with presents too. This day is about her feeling special. I left. Mom called me selfish for ruining Haley's first real Christmas. In January, my mom called, panicking. Haley got accepted to a private college. $50,000 a year. You'll help with tuition, right? Mom, I'm saving for a house. Your sister's education is more important than your comfort. She's not my sister. And I already have student loans from my own education. You can afford both. Stop being greedy. I said no. Mom didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. Then called crying. Haley was devastated. Thought I hated her. Mom said I was destroying this child's future. Fine. I'll pay for 1 semester. See how she does. Haley failed every class. Spent the semester partying. $25,000 wasted. Mom made excuses. She's adjusting. Never had structure before. Needs more support. Pay for another semester. No. This time Mom got nasty. After everything I sacrificed raising you, you can't even help your sister succeed. You sacrificed? I started working at 14 to buy my own clothes. You were a single mother doing your best. Now Haley needs that same support. Haley is getting way more support than I ever did. That's when Mom played her card. I'm changing my will. Everything goes to Haley. She needs it more. You're successful. You don't need inheritance. I laughed. What inheritance, Mom? Your house with a second mortgage? Your 10-year-old car? Mom hung up. 2 days later, Haley called. Mom says you're jealous of me. I think we should talk. We met for coffee. Haley ordered the most expensive drink, put it on my tab without asking, then told me her plan. Mom promised me the house when she dies, but I need it sooner. Can you buy it from her now? Let us live there rent-free? Are you serious? Mom's getting older. She needs care. I can't provide that without stability. You want me to buy my mother's house so you can live there free? It's what's best for Mom. I stood up and left. Haley complained to Mom that I was hostile. Mom called me abusive. Said I traumatized Haley. She was now having anxiety attacks. Needed therapy. Could I pay for it? That's when I made my decision. I called Mom's sister, my Aunt Rachel. Told her everything. The money, the demands, the will threat. Rachel was furious. She'd been sending Mom money monthly to help with expenses, thinking Mom was struggling. I called Mom's brother Keith. Same story. He'd been paying Mom's car insurance and phone bill. For Haley's benefit. We compared notes. Mom was collecting almost $4,000 a month from family. Plus her pension. Plus my payments for Haley. She'd been playing everyone. We all stopped payments immediately. Mom called each of us, panicking. Her bills were past due. Haley needed things. We suggested she get a job. Or Haley could get a job. Mom was appalled. Haley was focusing on her studies. What studies? She dropped out after failing. Mom hadn't told anyone that part. Last month, Mom called me crying because Haley left. I woke up the next morning and couldn't get out of bed right away. My phone sat on the nightstand with 6 missed calls from Mom, all from yesterday. I grabbed my laptop instead and opened my banking app. The checking account showed $2,847. 3 months ago, it had been $18,000. I clicked through to my credit card statements and added up the numbers again even though I already knew what they'd say. Card 1, $800. Card 2, $12,400. Card 3 maxed at $15,000. Card 4, $6,800. $42,400 in 3 months. The laptop screen blurred and I had to blink a few times. Haley was gone now and I should have felt relieved, but instead I just felt used up and stupid. I called my boss and told her I had food poisoning. She said to feel better and I hung up before she could ask any questions. The apartment was quiet and I sat there staring at the red numbers on the screen until they stopped looking like money and just looked like a mistake I couldn't undo. Mom's first voicemail played while I was making coffee. Her voice sounded thin and panicked. Haley cleaned out the guest room and took everything including the laptop you bought her. I need you to call me back right away. The second message came 10 minutes after the first. This is your fault for being so unsupportive and now Haley's gone and I don't know where she is. The third message had Mom crying. You drove her away with your attitude and now I'm all alone again. Message 4 accused me of being jealous. Message 5 said I needed to help fix this situation. Message 6, left at almost midnight, said Haley took the new phone too, and Mom needed me to replace it, so she could try to contact her. I deleted all 6 messages without responding. Whatever Mom wanted, it would cost me money I didn't have or energy I'd already spent. She'd either want me to go looking for Haley or hand over cash to replace what Haley took. I poured my coffee and unplugged my phone from the charger. Rachel called that evening while I was eating cereal for dinner because I hadn't gone grocery shopping in 2 weeks. Her voice had an edge to it that I'd never heard before. I hired someone to look into Haley's background, a private investigator named Olive Henderson. I almost dropped my spoon. Rachel kept talking. Olive found records from the state foster system. Haley was adopted and returned by 3 different families in the past 4 years. Each time, money went missing from the family. Significant amounts. Credit cards, cash, jewelry that got sold. The first family lost almost $20,000. The second family pressed charges, but Haley was a minor, so the records got sealed. The third family just returned her to the state without filing a report. My stomach felt sick even though I'd barely eaten anything. Rachel's voice got quieter. Your mother either didn't check Haley's history or she saw it and didn't care. Either way, this was always going to happen. We hung up after Rachel promised to email me the investigator's report. I sat at my kitchen table with my bowl of soggy cereal and felt validated and furious and stupid all at the same time. Keith called me 3 days later with a plan. Family meeting at his house Saturday afternoon. He'd already called Rachel and Mom's other brother Tom, who lived 2 states away. Tom had been sending Mom money too, about $800 every month to help with groceries. Keith wanted everyone except Mom to compare notes and figure out exactly how much money she'd collected. I drove to Keith's house on Saturday and found Rachel already there with a notebook. Tom showed up 20 minutes later looking tired from the drive. We sat around Keith's dining room table with our bank statements and receipts. Keith had been paying Mom's car insurance, $180 monthly, plus her phone bill, another $95. Rachel had sent $600 every month for utilities, Tom's $800 for groceries. My payments for Haley averaged about $2,500 monthly between the regular expenses and the one-time purchases. We added it up 3 times to make sure. $6,175 every month for 3 months, plus Mom's pension, which was around $2,400. Keith called Mom and asked her to come over, but she refused. You're all ganging up on me and I won't be treated like a criminal. We sat there after Keith hung up and decided we needed to help Mom face reality without enabling whatever she'd been doing. Rachel said we should create boundaries and stick to them. Tom said Mom needed to understand actions have consequences. I just wanted to stop feeling like an ATM machine. Mom's landlord called me 2 weeks after Haley left. The voice on the phone was professional but annoyed. Your mother listed you as her emergency contact and her rent is 30 days overdue. I felt my face get hot. How much does she owe? $1,800 for this month plus late fees. I told the landlord I'd call him back and then I called Mom. She answered on the first ring. Before I could say anything about the rent, she started crying about how Haley took her jewelry box and some cash she'd been saving. I interrupted her. Your landlord just called me. You're a month behind on rent. Silence on the other end. Mom? More silence. Then she started talking fast about how the money from the family had been going to Haley's expenses, and now she didn't have enough to cover everything. What expenses, Mom? Haley's gone. Well, I bought a new couch last month because the old one was falling apart, and I leased a newer car because mine kept breaking down. The words came out before I could stop them. You spent our money on furniture and a car? She got defensive. I needed those things and Haley needed a nice home. I asked her directly how much debt she had. She admitted to $17,000 on credit cards. Her pension barely covered utilities and the car lease and insurance. Everything else had been coming from family. Rachel told me to check my credit report after I called her about Mom's debt. I logged into the credit monitoring site I'd been ignoring for months and watched the page load. 2 credit cards I didn't recognize showed up under my accounts. Card 1 from a major bank, opened 8 months ago. Balance $7,400. Card 2 from a department store, opened 7 months ago. Balance $4,600. My hands started shaking. I clicked through the transaction history, cash advances, online shopping sites, restaurants in Mom's neighborhood that I'd never been to. The cards were opened before Haley even arrived. I called Rachel back and my voice sounded weird and high. Mom opened credit cards in my name 8 months ago. Rachel swore, which I'd never heard her do before. That's identity theft. You need to report this. But she's my mother. Rachel's voice got hard. She's also a thief. I hung up and stared at my laptop screen until the numbers stopped making sense. The Haley situation had been bad enough, but at least I'd chosen to give that money. This was different. This was Mom stealing from me before Haley was even part of the picture. The attorney's office was in a bland building downtown with beige carpet and fluorescent lights. Holden Wu looked younger than I expected, maybe 35, with glasses and a tired expression. He listened while I explained about the credit cards and showed him the statements I'd printed out. When I finished talking, he leaned back in his chair. This is textbook identity theft and financial abuse. You can file a police report and dispute the charges with the credit card companies. They'll investigate and you won't be responsible for the fraudulent debt. I felt relieved for about 3 seconds until he kept talking. However, filing the report means the police will investigate your mother. If they find evidence she opened the accounts, which they will based on what you've shown me, she could face criminal charges. Identity theft is a felony. I sat there feeling my stomach drop. So I have to choose between my financial future and potentially sending my mother to jail. Holden nodded slowly. Unfortunately, yes. Those are your options. He gave me paperwork to take home and review. I left his office feeling sick. I drove to Mom's house with the credit card statements in a folder on my passenger seat. She answered the door looking smaller than usual, wearing an old robe even though it was 2 in the afternoon. I walked past her into the living room and saw the new couch she'd mentioned, a gray sectional that probably cost $2,000. I put the folder on her coffee table and opened it. Mom looked at the papers and her face went white. Where did you get these? I pulled my credit report. You opened 2 cards in my name, 8 months ago. She tried to speak, but nothing came out at first. Then she started with excuses. I was desperate. The pension wasn't enough. You have so much money. I interrupted her. I'm drowning in debt because of you and Haley. $42,000 on my actual cards plus $12,000 on these fraudulent ones. She got angry then. You should have budgeted better. I felt something snap inside me. I'm filing a police report if you don't sign a payment agreement right now. Her face went through shock, then more anger, then she started crying. You'd really do that to your own mother? I pulled out the agreement Holden had helped me draft. $50 monthly until the $12,000 is paid back. 240 months. 20 years. She grabbed the paper with shaking hands and read it. This is ridiculous. Sign it or I go to the police today. She signed. Keith called me 3 weeks later and his voice sounded tight with anger. Haley contacted my daughter through Instagram, sent her a message about being homeless and needing help. My cousin Jessica was 19 and had a part-time job at a coffee shop. She almost sent Haley $200 before Keith saw the messages and stopped her. He'd shown Jessica the investigator's report and explained what Haley had done to the family. I felt protective rage flood through me. She's targeting the younger generation now. Keith agreed. I'm warning everyone with kids. She's probably going through a list of everyone connected to your mother. I thanked him and hung up. Then I called Olive Henderson and asked her to dig deeper into what Haley had been doing since she left. Olive called back 4 days later with information that made me want to throw my phone across the room. Haley is living with a 32-year-old man named Derek in the next county. They're in an apartment he's renting. I found her social media accounts under a different name. She has posts from 2 weeks ago bragging about scamming her rich adoptive family. One post called your mother a stupid old lady who believed everything. Olive sent me screenshots and I looked at them on my laptop. Haley's face in the photos looked happy and smug. The post talked about how easy it was to manipulate people who wanted to feel like saviors. There was no remorse anywhere. No guilt. Just satisfaction at pulling off a successful con. I saved all the screenshots to a folder on my desktop and felt something settle inside me. This confirmation that Haley never cared, that it was always calculated, somehow made it easier to accept what had happened. The evidence was clear and final. I forwarded Olive's report to Keith and Rachel that evening. The screenshots get saved to a shared cloud folder we created for documenting everything related to Mom and Haley. Keith calls me 10 minutes later and tells me he's adding his daughter's Instagram exchange to the folder. We're building a case without really meaning to, just trying to protect ourselves and track the damage. Rachel texts the group chat asking if we should show Mom the evidence about Haley's social media posts. I type back that Mom probably won't believe it or will make excuses. Keith agrees. We decide to keep the information for ourselves unless Mom brings up Haley again. My phone rings at 2 in the morning 3 days later. Mom's name flashes on the screen. I almost don't answer because I'm tired of her manipulation and late-night drama. But something makes me pick up. She's breathing hard and her voice sounds wrong. I'm at the hospital, having chest pains. You're still my emergency contact. They need you to come. I sit up in bed and my heart pounds because this could be real or could be another scheme. Where are you? Saint. Mary's ER. Please come. I pull on jeans and a sweatshirt and drive to the hospital feeling mad and worried at the same time. The whole drive I'm thinking about that letter Olive found where Haley suggested faking medical problems. This could be exactly that. But what if it's real and I ignore it? The ER waiting room smells like cleaning products and old coffee. I give Mom's name at the desk and a nurse takes me back to a small room with beeping machines and bright lights. Mom's lying on a bed with wires attached to her chest. Her face looks pale and old. She reaches for my hand when she sees me. I'm scared. I think I'm having a heart attack. I sit in the plastic chair next to her bed and don't take her hand. The doctors are running tests? She nods. They took blood. Did an EKG, said they need to monitor me. A doctor comes in 20 minutes later with a tablet and a tired expression. He tells Mom the tests show it's not a heart attack. Looks like a panic attack. But her blood pressure is really high, dangerously high, and she needs to reduce stress and follow up with her regular doctor. Mom starts crying and saying she's been under so much stress. The doctor nods and leaves. I sit there for 6 hours while they run more tests and monitor her blood pressure. Mom falls asleep around 5 in the morning. Her purse is sitting on the chair next to me. I need to find her insurance card for the paperwork they gave me. I open the purse and dig through receipts, old tissues, a wallet. There's a folded piece of paper stuck in the side pocket. I pull it out and unfold it. It's a letter. Haley's handwriting at the top with a date from 2 months before she left. I start reading and my stomach drops. The letter talks about their plan to get more money from me. Haley writes about how I'm starting to resist and suggests Mom should fake a medical emergency if I keep saying no. Says I'll cave if I think Mom's dying. Suggests chest pains because those always get attention. I read the letter 3 times. Each time makes me feel sicker. Mom knew. She knew exactly what Haley was doing. They planned it together. Mom wasn't a victim of Haley's manipulation. She was a willing partner. I fold the letter and put it in my jacket pocket. My hands shake. Mom wakes up around 7. She blinks at the fluorescent lights and looks at me. Thank you for coming. I could have died. I pull the letter from my pocket and unfold it. Hold it up so she can see. Did you know Haley was using you to scam the family? Mom's eyes go wide. Where did you get that? Your purse. While looking for your insurance card. Answer the question. She tries to grab the letter, but I pull it back. That's private. It's evidence. Did you know what Haley was doing? Mom's face changes. Goes from shocked to defensive. I don't know what you're talking about. The letter literally describes your plan to fake medical emergencies. She looks away. Starts picking at the hospital blanket. I knew Haley had been in trouble before. But I thought if I gave her love and money, she'd change. That's not an answer. Did you know she was scamming us? Mom's quiet for a long time. Then she nods. I got caught up in having someone who needed me. After your dad died, I felt useless. Haley made me feel important. I didn't want to see the truth about what we were doing. For the first time ever, she says she's sorry for hurting me. Then immediately adds that she was lonely and grieving and didn't know what else to do. I fold the letter and put it back in my pocket. I'll help you get stable. But only under specific conditions. What conditions? We're writing a contract. I'm not giving you any more money without rules. Mom looks insulted. I'm your mother, not a business deal. You opened credit cards in my name and planned fake emergencies with Haley. This is a business deal now. She doesn't argue after that. I call Holden Wu from the hospital parking lot and explain what I found. He says he can draft an agreement and have it ready by tomorrow. I drive home and sleep for 3 hours. Then go to Holden's office. The contract Holden creates is simple. Mom must attend financial counseling. Pay me back $50 monthly for the fraudulent credit cards. Have no contact with Haley. Except that I will only provide emergency help after checking that the emergency is real. I take the contract to Mom's house 2 days after she gets released from the hospital. She reads it at her kitchen table. Her mouth gets tight. You're treating me like a criminal. You committed fraud against me. Sign it or I file a police report. She picks up the pen. Her hand shakes when she signs her name at the bottom. I make a copy on her printer and leave one with her. Take mine back to my apartment and put it in the folder with all the other documents. Having clear rules written down makes me feel stronger instead of guilty all the time. 3 weeks pass. Mom calls on a Tuesday afternoon. Her voice sounds normal, not panicked. My car needs repairs. $300. I can't get to my doctor appointments without it. I'm at work and step outside to take the call. Get a written estimate from the mechanic first. What? You don't trust me? The contract says I verify emergencies before helping. She explodes. Starts yelling that I'm a cruel daughter who doesn't care if she dies because she can't get to the doctor. That I'm punishing her for one mistake. That she raised me better than this. I hang up. She calls back 4 times. I don't answer. She doesn't speak to me for 12 days. The silence feels peaceful instead of punishing. I don't miss her calls or her guilt trips. On day 13, she texts asking if I'm free for coffee. I say no. A Facebook message appears in my filtered inbox on a Saturday morning. It's from Haley. Long paragraphs about how Mom is telling everyone I abandoned them both. How Haley wants to apologize and explain her side of things. The message says she's pregnant and scared, that mom is sick because of me, that she just wants one chance to make things right. Every sentence is designed to make me feel guilty. I recognize all the manipulation tricks Olive warned me about. The fake pregnancy, the blame, the claim that one conversation will fix everything. I screenshot the entire message, send it to Holden Wu with a note that Haley is still trying to con me. Then I block Haley on Facebook, Instagram, and every other platform I can think of. Blocking her feels powerful, like I'm finally learning to protect myself instead of falling for fake remorse. 4 months after the family stopped sending money, Mom's landlord files for eviction. Mom calls me sobbing. I'm going to be homeless. They're kicking me out. I can't live on the street. I call the landlord directly and verify the situation. Mom owes 4 months' rent, hasn't applied for any assistance programs, hasn't looked for cheaper housing even though I sent her a list of affordable apartments. The landlord sounds tired when he talks about Mom. Says he gave her extensions and payment plans, but she spent money on other things instead of rent. I call Rachel and explain the situation. We spend a weekend helping Mom find a small apartment that costs half what her current place does. Keith agrees to co-sign the lease. Mom cries when she sees the new apartment. It's so small. This is what you can afford. She moves in 2 weeks later. I help her pack and watch her lose the house she's lived in for 15 years. Part of me feels sad watching her downsize her whole life into a tiny one-bedroom. But another part knows this consequence was necessary. She created this situation by lying and stealing and refusing to budget. Keith, Rachel, and I meet at a coffee shop the week after Mom moves. We sit at a corner table with notebooks and coffee cups. We need a plan for helping Mom that doesn't let her manipulate us or drain anyone too much. Keith suggests we rotate checking on her. Each of us takes 1 week per month. Rachel says we should split her therapy copays 3 ways if she actually goes to therapy. I add that she needs to provide documentation before getting financial help. We write everything down, create a shared calendar for the check-in rotation, set up a group chat for coordinating. Having my extended family's support makes this feel manageable instead of overwhelming. We all agree that helping Mom means accepting she'll probably never fully understand what she did wrong, but we can still support her basic needs without enabling bad behavior. I start seeing a therapist named Paloma Silva in October. She specializes in family trauma and financial abuse. Her office has soft lighting and comfortable chairs. The first session, I tell her everything about Mom and Haley and the money. Paloma listens without interrupting. Then she asks me about my childhood. I talk about working since I was 14, about Mom making me buy my own clothes, about always feeling responsible for Mom's happiness. Paloma helps me see patterns I never noticed before. How Mom used guilt and obligation to control me my whole life. How the Haley situation was just an extreme version of dynamics that already existed. I cry in her office realizing that Mom's manipulation didn't start with Haley. It started when I was a kid, and Mom made me feel responsible for fixing her loneliness after Dad died. Processing this hurts. But Paloma teaches me to separate love from obligation, shows me that protecting myself doesn't make me a bad daughter. Each session helps me understand that I can care about Mom without sacrificing myself. 6 months after Haley left, Mom and I meet for lunch at a restaurant neither of us picked. Neutral territory. We sit across from each other with menus between us. Mom looks older than she did a year ago. More tired. We order food and then sit in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Mom speaks. I resent that you became successful while I feel like I wasted my life. Having Haley made me feel important and needed in ways I hadn't felt since your father died. Her honesty surprises me. I tell her I need her to see me as a person instead of a resource, that I can't keep being her solution to every problem. She nods slowly, doesn't fully understand but agrees to keep trying in therapy. We eat our food and talk about small things. The weather, her new apartment, my job. Nothing deep. But it's honest. We leave the restaurant with an understanding that our relationship will never be what either of us wanted. But it can be real and have boundaries. That feels like enough. 7 months crawl by with me checking every dollar twice. Ryan Mathis sends me monthly reports showing my debt shrinking bit by bit. I eat leftovers for lunch and skip buying new clothes. My coworkers go out for happy hour and I stay home. The sacrifices add up slowly like pennies in a jar. By month 6, I have $12,000 saved. By month 7, I hit $15,000. Enough for a down payment on something small. I meet with a real estate agent named Sharon who shows me 3 houses in my price range. The first one needs too much work. The second one sits on a busy street. The third one is a tiny 2-bedroom ranch with outdated carpet but good bones. I put in an offer that same day. The seller accepts within 24 hours. 3 weeks later, I sit at a title company office signing papers. My hand cramps from writing my name so many times. The mortgage officer slides the final document across the desk and tells me congratulations. I walk out of that office owning a house. My house. Not Mom's. Not for Haley. Mine. I buy paint and spend weekends covering the beige walls with colors I actually like. Aunt Rachel helps me hang curtains. Uncle Keith installs new light fixtures in the kitchen. Mom even shows up on moving day carrying a casserole dish. She walks through the rooms looking at everything with an expression I can't quite read. The house is small. She says it quiet, but I hear her. I choose not to respond because nothing I say will change how she sees things. We eat pizza on the floor of my empty living room, and Mom tells a story about my dad that actually makes me laugh. For one afternoon, it feels almost normal. A month later, my phone rings while I'm at work. Olive Henderson's name shows on the screen. I step outside to take the call. She tells me Haley got arrested in Arizona for stealing from an old couple she was living with. Haley told them she was a nursing student who needed a place to stay while doing clinical rotations. Instead, she drained their checking account and maxed out their credit cards. The couple's son caught her and called the police. Olive says there are similar complaints from Nevada and New Mexico, a pattern going back at least 2 years. The prosecutor thinks Haley will get jail time because the evidence is solid and the victims are elderly. I feel something like relief wash through me. Not happiness exactly, but knowing she can't hurt anyone else for a while. Olive mentions that my police report about the identity theft helped establish Haley's history. I thank her and hang up. That night, I call Aunt Rachel to tell her the news. She says good, and we both sit quiet on the phone for a minute. Neither of us needs to say more than that. 2 weeks after Olive's call, Mom shows up at my house without warning. She's holding a small plant in a ceramic pot and a white envelope. I open the door and she hands both items to me without speaking. The card inside has flowers on the front and 4 words written in Mom's handwriting. I'm sorry for not seeing you. No explanation. No excuses about Haley or loneliness or anything else. Just those 7 words. I look at Mom standing on my porch and she looks back at me with something tired in her eyes. This doesn't fix everything between us. Doesn't erase the money or the manipulation or the year of chaos. But it's the first time she's apologized without immediately defending herself. I tell her thank you and invite her inside for coffee. We sit at my kitchen table and talk about small things. Her new apartment, my job, the weather getting colder. Nothing deep or meaningful. Just 2 people trying to figure out how to be around each other honestly. She leaves after an hour and I put the plant on my windowsill where it catches afternoon sun. Almost 10 months passed since Haley walked out of Mom's house. I'm sitting in my living room on a Saturday morning with coffee and the newspaper spread across my lap. The house is quiet except for the heater clicking on. My bank account shows a balance that's slowly climbing instead of draining. Mom and I talk maybe twice a month. Sometimes I help her with small things like driving her to appointments or fixing her computer, but I don't pay her bills or give her money or let her guilt me into anything. Uncle Keith and Aunt Rachel check on her too, so the responsibility spreads between us. Mom still makes comments sometimes that show she doesn't fully understand what she did wrong. She still thinks Haley was just troubled instead of calculating. But she's trying in her limited way, and that's more than I expected a year ago. The situation with Haley cost me over $40,000 and a year of my life. But it taught me something important about saying no. About protecting myself even when family calls it selfish. Every relationship in my life works better now because I learned to set boundaries. My friendships are stronger because I'm not constantly drained and resentful. My job performance improved once I stopped being distracted by family chaos. Even my relationship with Mom is more honest now that it's not based on her needs and my guilt. I finish my coffee and look around the small house I bought with my own money. The walls are painted colors I chose. The furniture fits my taste. Nobody else has a key. This space is mine, and I earned it by learning to value myself enough to stop funding other people's problems. Family love doesn't require financial sacrifice or tolerating manipulation. It can exist with boundaries and honesty and mutual respect. That's what I have now. Not perfect, but real and sustainable. I set down my coffee cup and start planning what color to paint the bedroom next.